The Legend of Zelda The Missing Link is an unofficial Zelda adventure developed by a small team of modders. Unlike other Zelda ROM hacks, The Missing Link is not merely a modified version of Ocarina of Time, but a standalone self-contained adventure set between the events of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. This game is ambitious in delivering a new world map, an original soundtrack and original gameplay mechanics, making this a unique Zelda adventure. If not for a few minor design quirks, The Missing Link could genuinely pass for an official Ocarina of Time DLC, which makes it no surprise this game caught the attention of Nintendo's lawyers. The Missing Link takes place shortly after Link has been sent back in time by Princess Zelda at the end of Ocarina of Time. Navi has disappeared and Link has returned to Kokiri Forest, which is in a state of depletion after the death of the Great Deku Tree. Early on, it's established that all the fairies in Hyrule have been kidnapped by a demon referred to as the Fairy Collector. In pursuit of the Fairy Collector, players will encounter new locations with their own mysteries and interesting sets of puzzles, while also encountering new quirky characters along the way. There are primarily 3 locations in the game: the Deep Woods, Monktown Valley, and Deku Road, with a few additional locations along the way. These locations act as lead-ins to the game's major dungeon and end battle climax at Hollow Root Deep. My favourite location in The Missing Link was Monktown Valley, home to a large monastery and small village which has recently become cursed and overrun with re-deads. Monktown has an eerie, ghostly vibe similar to Icana Canyon in Majora's Mask. The location plays out as one large maze where players must solve the mystery of the curse by exploring the valley and looking for many various paths and clues to help guide them to removing the curse. Players really feel like they're getting a sense of solving a mystery, with resources scattered throughout the town providing hints to the players, with some additional Zelda lore which will be pleasing for fans. Considering the efforts the team placed in the design and narrative of Monktown Valley, it was a little disappointing that the solving of the mystery wasn't as satisfying as the lead-up had me anticipating, with a sudden abrupt resolution. The gameplay mechanics are much the same as Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. The developers opted for a limited number of items including Deku Nuts, Deku Sticks and Bomb Shoes, all playing an important role in solving puzzles and also in enemy combat. Non-combat items that make a return include the Ocarina of Time, although limited in use, glass bottles, useful for storing milk to replenish your health, and also the inclusion of the bunny hood mask, for leaping to platforms that are otherwise out of reach. One new item introduced that proves an interesting gameplay element is the Magic Hourglass. The Magic Hourglass definitely feels like it belongs in the Zelda 64 universe. Acquired towards the end of the game, the Magic Hourglass is used to reverse Link's time briefly while the world around him progresses. While it's not a major element in the game, it proves for some interesting puzzles requiring the player to anticipate and play out where they need to be several seconds prior to triggering the Magic Hourglass. I won't spoil the final boss for those that are still yet to play the game, but the Magic Hourglass plays an important element in this battle, proving to offer some serious challenge and interesting gameplay mechanics, putting this one up there with some of the best Zelda bosses. Notably missing from the core items was the Fairy Slingshot and Fairy Bow. These definitely could have come in handy when fighting bats and Skulltulas. However, making up for the lack of these items is a new gameplay mechanic known as the Soul Charge Kokiri Sword. When the player has full health, the Soul Charge Kokiri Sword has the ability to shoot fire charges in the direction of enemies as Link swings his sword. This seems to have taken inspiration from the original Legend of Zelda on the NES, and I was quite surprised the first time I encountered it, with the ability to melt ice, light lanterns, and hit switches from a distance. It also proves handy for taking out those annoying Deku Scrubs. Although I've got a lot of praise for this game, there are a few minor things that show obvious signs that this isn't an official Nintendo game. The frame rate seriously drops in areas, particularly in Monktown, where it feels like I'm playing at 2/3 the normal speed. I played this on the Nintendo 64, so perhaps the game was never intended to be running on actual Nintendo 64 hardware, but it did sometimes take you out of the experience. Unfortunately, this only shows up in minor occurrences throughout the rest of the world map. Another major problem was some of the puzzles felt a little random, with no direction given to the player. One example of this was for about half an hour I found myself lost on how to trigger a gated door to open. I eventually found a switch which was hidden on the side of a chasm that was out of view to the player. I felt like this was pure luck that I happened to spot this switch, and I feel that there was no logical reason for the player to choose to look there. It kind of felt like lazy design. After 20 years and numerous playthroughs of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, I'd forgotten what it was like to play through these games with a sense of wonder and challenge. The missing link successfully captures the feel of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. While short in length, the game may fill a void for anyone who wishes they could experience again for the first time a Zelda game from an era of gaming that has long since passed. If you're planning to play this game, I highly suggest tracking down a Nintendo 64 version of the game to get the most authentic experience.